The people down the street are going to be coming in any minute because they think they might be in the wrong place. Oh my gosh, Jamie, thank you so much. And the band, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, it's so wonderful to see everybody. I've missed you so much. But I've been on drugs, so not a whole lot. So, oh gosh, it just seems, it's almost surreal is what it is. It's almost surreal. High level of emotion this morning, and I feel the incredible energy from each and every one of you. And the Pillsbury Doughboy here is doing a really good job too. Oh, and the beautiful flowers, thank you all so much for that contribution as well. This past week I had an opportunity to chat with a friend of mine who's not of our teaching. And she actually called to find out how I was doing. And we've been friends for many, many years. And she said to me, what are you planning for Easter Sunday? And her question kind of took me a little bit off guard, because her comment right after that was, since you don't believe in Jesus Christ as the Lord and Savior, how do you propose to celebrate Easter? And for just a moment, I felt compelled to defend myself just a little bit. I went to that place in consciousness where I wanted to teach her about the science of mind in 30 seconds. Well, that's not going to happen. So, and we've been friends all of these years, and talking about religion has sort of been off limits for us. We love each other. She has her faith, persuasion, and I have mine. And she's one of my friends from the 60s, and they still can't believe I'm a minister. So, it's so interesting that I was gifted with a wonderful book from my friend Stephen Brabant by the Dalai Lama called How to Be Compassionate. And the subtitle is A Handbook for Creating Inner Peace and a Happier World. And I decided just to let her have this one. Because it was more important for me to be happy than it was to be right. And even though I know she feels right in her own belief system, I also feel right in my belief system. But the Dalai Lama said, it is not necessary for someone to be favorably disposed toward you in order for you to respect and cherish them. For example, when we want rain and it rains, we are grateful, even though there is no motivation on the part of the shower to help us. Each time my friend challenges me and my belief system, she helps me accumulate merit, because it's always all about me. And remembering who I am and remembering what I believe to be my truth. I don't have to defend that truth to anyone else. I simply have to know in my own heart that what I believe is right for me. And every time my friend and I talk, there is a part of me that kind of resurrects a new idea as to how to do relationships. There's a new idea that shows up here. Every time I visit with my siblings, there's a part of me that is called to experience a new idea of what it's like to be a sister. And every time I minister to someone at this center, it's a call for me to understand my own greatness so that I can see the greatness in the person that I'm working with. And I think if we remember that as a part of our belief system, we can go about the business of being who we are and not be challenged in any way, shape, or form. My friend, Reverend Linda Findley, who has the Eugene, Oregon Center for Spiritual Living, wrote on her blog this past week, until you change your consciousness, it does not matter what you do, because nothing you do will have a lasting effect. But once you change your consciousness, it does not matter what you do, because anything you do will have a lasting effect. I love that. I love that. So it's really all about a shift in consciousness. And this is what I'm wanting to share with you today, that we're resurrecting a new idea about who we are. And it's a shift in consciousness so that everything that we do in our lives has a lasting effect. Everything that we engage in, our conversations, the work that we do, the relationships that we have, our families of origin, who are sometimes the most challenging people in our life. God knows, I've got a family. You know, I think we all have one or two people that we would like to, well, we have one or two people in our lives that... You know, it's so much easier, isn't it, to have a family of choice. Brooke Medicine Eagle, who is a Lakota Sioux, said, you know, making new family is called hunkapi. And she said that, you know, it's so much easier to create your own family than it is to live within your family of origin sometimes. Anyway, I digress. But when we do have a consciousness raising experience, there really is a lasting effect. So here we are on Easter Sunday, celebrating the resurrection of a new idea and beginning this experiment called Adventure in Faith, because adventure is an experiment in consciousness raising, and faith because it's not about knowing how things are going to turn out. You know, it's the ego mind that wants to know how things are going to turn out. You know, if we really lived life on faith, maybe they would turn out better, because we don't think that we wouldn't have to think that we have to orchestrate everything. When we do something on faith, we have then released the ego's need to know how it's going to come about. Who's going to show up and be involved, and what will be the end result. We just simply have to know that all those things will fall into place. And it's not necessarily a divine plan, like Jamie said in the song. It is the plan that our lives, it is the plan that we have for our lives that is directing spirit in order for us to have the life that we've always dreamed of. Dr. Holmes wrote, "The law of nature is to use or to lose. The people who are truly prosperous are generous souls. Even our intellects become sluggish if unused. Our muscles become flabby from lack of use. Talents unused seem to disappear. We must bear in mind that there is an inflow, and only by permitting an outflow," he said, "to pass the blessings on do we widen the channel of the inflow. This thought alone should cure us of any thought of hoarding." You know, we can't hoard our goodness. We can't hoard our friendship. We can't hoard our generosity. We have to release it and let it go out into the universe. And, you know, sometimes with people that maybe we don't feel inclined to want to do that with. And those sometimes are the people who need it the most. They're the people who need it the most. One of the most thought-provoking things I think I ever read is that Easter, the season of resurrection, offers us unlimited inspiration to revive our ideals, to lift our vision of ourselves and others, and to renew our awareness of the good and the beautiful. I love that. That's what we're resurrecting here today. It isn't about a person, it is about a consciousness. A consciousness, my consciousness, that gets to be resurrected to the development of a new idea. It's less about the person Jesus and more about what Jesus represented. Now is the perfect time to reach beyond the darkness of our past and accept the joy of the creative power that we know to be ours in the present moment experience, and then prepare for the future from that basis. We prepare for the future knowing that we are completely and totally surrounded and immersed in a law that says yes to whatever we place into it. And so today, the resurrecting of a new idea is about rethinking everything again. This whole year is about that. This whole year is about figuring out how we can do things differently than we've done them before, and we will then have a different result. All around us, we sense nature's awakening. The sky is bluer, the clouds are whiter, the flowers more colorful, and the wind seems to be a little more fragrant, and we're not on drugs. You know, it's just the way it is when we begin to notice those things. There is an urge on the part of the plants and the flowers to reach for the sun and for the light. In the same way, we reach for the light in our relationship to God. It's reaching for something that's really not out of reach or never has been within reach because it's within. And our own unique spiritual sense of who we are today is enhanced by our being here together in this center today. That if one of you were missing today, this morning would not be the same. It wouldn't have the same meaning, because each one of us is necessary for this completion called the Celebration Sunday service at the Westlake Center. It's an important thing. Ernest said there should be no obstacle great enough to hold any of us back when we have the same inner urge to press more into the light, to grow, to expand in consciousness, and to increase our usefulness. You know, this philosophy called the science of mind is useful. It's incredibly useful. Ernest intended it to be that way. It is not a limiting philosophy in any way, shape, or form. It's not predicated on fear. It's not predicated on limitation. It's predicated on expansion. It's predicated on becoming aware of the Christ consciousness that is within each one of us. That Christ consciousness is what really the message that Jesus brought to this plane of consciousness. Adventures in Faith is going to do this a little bit for us over the next 6 or 7 weeks. And at the end, those who wish to participate fully and watch their lives change exponentially, we're going to all sit down and break bread together. We're going to share a meal together. And we're going to get to know one another in the next 7 weeks in a way that is really profound, because we'll have the opportunity to meet in small groups over the next 7 weeks and share on an individual basis and have conversation that will generate ideas in a place of comfort and tranquility that maybe might show us how life can be different than it is right now. So when we accept the idea of a new life in our consciousness as a next step, the idea springs forth in the body and the body of our affairs. And our lives are forever changed. You see, that's the thing that's so beautiful about this teaching. We cannot change one single thing in our lives without it changing every other thing in our lives. Because the nature of the Spirit within us is to move forward, to build in consciousness. Its nature is to grow and to change and to be more than we were yesterday, and maybe a little bit less than we might be tomorrow. This is what Ernest Holmes would have called the awakening to the glory of the Christ consciousness in our own souls. The Christ has always been there, of course, but we are resurrecting it through our changed thinking and the ultimate shift in our experience of life on a daily basis. My friend Carol Carnes, who is the pastor in the Calgary, Alberta church, wrote on her blog this week, "Many of us spend our entire lives waiting for something amazing. We're waiting and not invoking the power for good that is greater than we are. If we don't do anything, nothing will happen," she said. "All we need to do is look inside and see the truth, that we are brilliant and magnificent, beautiful and bold, courageous and creative. Let's face it, you are incredible." And she has that in capital letters, so it must be true. Because everything in the science of mind that's in capital letters is true. She says, "Up again, old heart," Emerson wrote, referring to the dauntless self which transcends limitation and seeks newness. This aspect of our being is the resurrected optimism, the reborn child like enthusiasm for the living and the driving force of innovation, the voice of possibility. It will not be talked out of its insistence that life is good and all is well. You know, we return to it again and again on this journey through experience. And in fact, you know, we count on it to see us through what our ego mind thought was the worst thing that could ever happen to the other side where life begins again. You know, sometimes we think, you know, this is the worst thing that could ever happen when we're in the middle of it. And once we come out on the other side, we think, wow, that wasn't so bad. I got through it. I'm still alive. We have created this wonderful program called Adventures in Faith because I want all of us to realize a different expression of life and the livingness of it, as Ernest Holmes said. This is the season of a new life, of new growth, of new expression. And this is the perfect time for us to revive our ideals, to lift up our vision, to acknowledge our at one-ment with God, the all good. This is a day of rejoicing because we are embarking on a new idea which harkens to the challenge to rethink everything. It's an experiment in consciousness raising, as I said, and I feel incredibly excited about where it's going to go, that you're willing to go along with it, how it's going to happen, and who's going to ride this ride with me. I love you all so much. I know. I know. Okay. And I want you all on this journey of self-discovery with me. You know, I kind of feel like a little reborn today. I kind of get what those Christians are talking about, you know. I feel it's a strange morning. It's surreal is what it is, you know, springtime. And the arrival of more light is a living metaphor for this constant rebirthing that is essential to the human experience. We are so constructed that we simply cannot remain in the darkness for any length of time. We can do this together. We can do this thing together, this Adventures in Faith. You know, the faculty of mind is proof that we are greater than our experience and that we are transcendent in it. We are capable of rising above life's greatest challenges. And like I said, we can do this together in joy and celebration, knowing with God, all things are possible. God bless you one and all, and so it is. Yay. Okay. We have Jamie again. Yeah. Sit down.
Jamie and the choir again, yes.